alumni and in the data industry. We've gotten recognitions from Tech Cabal, Tech Gist Africa, Business Day, to name a few. So far, so good. The numbers keep increasing. This were the numbers as at the last time this presentation was made, 12,257, but the numbers keep growing. From 1,050 data analysts with Microsoft Excel attendees to 7,125 attendees in data analytics, to over 1,670 participants in macroeconomics analysis, to 510 in business analytics, and to over 1,900 in strategic HR analytics. So when you say you're learning with Italian, you're learning from, like I said earlier, impact-driven DNA. From 108 scholarships so far to over 100 job placements, we have students across 9 countries and 52 cities. So far, we've had trainings with staff of Flutterwave, Access Bank, Jobberman, UBA, Leadway, to mention a few. I'm sure some people just want to get into data and just, let's start this class already. But there's a journey to that and we're getting there. I hope people are super excited so far because I am introducing the Italian and I get super excited every time I have the opportunity to do this. So welcome once again. For those just joining, you could have been at a party or some Owambe or something, but you decided to say, you know what, I've done a 9 to 5 the whole week. Right now I just feel my personal growth is really important. So congratulations once again. A couple of recognitions, like I mentioned earlier, from being recognized as amongst the 25 key players in the top talent sector in Nigeria to features in Business Day and Tech Gist Africa. The Telum is divided into a community, the technologies, and the intelligence. So most times people just interface with the academy, which is what you're interfacing with. But the Italian, like I said, is a community which is bigger than ourselves. The community facilitates learning through mentorship and ambassadorships and student participation. So it's a community that is ever growing. We have technologies, we build custom solutions for businesses around data. We also have the intelligence. Most companies like to outsource a lot of their resources and a lot of their problems, and the intelligence does that. We have teams ready to be deployed on whatever project is deemed necessary. So when you think of the Italian, think of the community, technologies, and the intelligence. So how do we do what we do? How have we gotten this name and this brand thus far? We have a series of training which is cut across data analytics. So for data analytics, we have the beginner, the intermediate, and the expert. This is a master class. So a master class is usually just an introductory program which we organize periodically for individuals interested in learning data, such as yourself. So after that, we have paid classes in the beginner, the intermediate, and the expert. So there are a lot of skill sets that are being learned, and there are a lot of tools across all of this. So we have the business analysis, we have HR analytics, we have the macroeconomic analysis, we have the data analytics with Excel, and we have Dawn, which I mentioned earlier, which is the Detalium Alumni Women Network. So if you're interested in any of this, you can always visit the website, which I'll get to. But meantime, these are the cross sections of courses we have, and they're very interesting. I'm sure some people have identified areas of interest they'll be interested in. So for more information on the courses and the breakdown and the curriculums, you can always visit detalium.com, www.detalium.com, for more information on those. Pictures, we see people smiling, and we hope after this class you'll be amongst one of these people smiling. So this is just a cross section. It doesn't cut 1% of what we've done, but we like to show people smiling because it's usually a journey with us. It's not just learning, post-learning, and joining the community. It's always an amazing learning experience. At the Italian, we believe learning should be fun, and that's what we ensure it is. Thank you. I am Vincent Adeniran. Here's the phone number you can call. You can always reach out to us whenever at www.detalium.com, or you can always feel free to send us an email or put across a call or follow us across social media platforms. I'm sure that's where some of you found out about the master classes from. So right now, I'm sure some people just want to know what's up, what's next, I'll be introducing our facilitator. Detalium has a very robust faculty from individuals who have been training for years to individuals who do what they do to individuals who work with data every day. Our facilitator for today is no other than Mubarak. Mubarak is a data analyst with over 5 years of experience. He's vast in Power BI, Microsoft tools, SQL, and a number of other things. He hosts a number of our classes from Masterclass to data analytics with Excel. He's a visualization expert. I can keep going on and on and on from his certifications to Microsoft to what he does in the data community. But Mubarak is an amazing individual, and I'm really excited you're getting to learn from Mubarak this early. So thank you everyone once again. And like earlier, the rules were sent. Please just mute your mics throughout the learning experience so that it's seamless and it's a wholesome experience for everybody. And if you have any questions, please drop them on the group chat. After this, I'll be going to the DMs to help people out with issues. I've seen a number of messages, so I'll attend to that. It's not being aired. And yes, Mubarak, if you're ready, we're good to go. So thank you, everyone. And after this, right now, the data set to be shared. And after this, it's going to be an amazing experience. So thank you once again and have an amazing learning experience with Datalium. Over to you,
Yeah,
Mubarak.
thank you, Vincent. It's good to have you here. Good morning, everybody. It's always a pleasure for me when I have to take these classes because I always feel like the class where we get to introduce you people to Power BI, to analytics as a whole. It's a class where you get to see why you need to take up this field. And for me, I always say Power BI, I always say analytics is not necessarily a career. I always say analytics is more of a skill. So regardless of what you currently do in wherever you work, analytics is something you can always add to what you already do. Wherever we work, we all have to do some form of reporting. We all have to, we all want to do some analytics into the data we generate for whatever we do. So I always say that, analytics is always going to serve you in one way or the other. So it's my pleasure that I'll be showing you a couple of things today. And I really hope we can, we can pick up from me. I hope you guys can learn a few things. So right now, I'll be sharing my screen. So just give me a second. So by the way, before, I know Vincent said you guys should try and be on mute as much as possible, and I agree with him. But what I would say is this: I like it's a virtual class, yeah. So I can't see your faces. I do not know when you agree with what I'm saying or when you disagree. I do not know when you do not understand what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to say is, please feel free to unmute every now and then if you need to say something. So feel free to interrupt me every now and then if you need to say something. The only thing I would need you to do for me is to make sure your background is not noisy when you do that, please. So feel free to, unmute. You can unmute and, we can discuss. If you have any challenges, you can ask. So thank you. So I will start from here. So it says introduction. As a data analyst, you're on a journey. Think about the data that is being generated every day. So guys, we are generating data every day. Every time you use your bank's mobile app, you're literally generating data. Every time someone sends money to you, data is being generated. Every time you drop a tweet, even though you can't drop any anymore, every time you drop a tweet, okay, you can, but every time you drop a tweet, data is being generated. Every time you snap a picture, data is being generated. For everything you do really these days, data is being generated. But what do we use this data for? So yes, you're generating data, you're dropping data, but what is this data going to be used for? So the world has really gone past the time when people focus on, I think we need to do this, I think we need to do this. Businesses and people are beginning to understand that there's a major need to make sure that decisions are more data driven because human beings are prone to biases. So when I say human beings are prone to biases, what I'm trying to say is, for example, if I'm into retail and I sell clothes, but I don't happen to like some type of clothes, like it's not something I would wear, then I might have buyers as regarding selling them or as regarding putting them at the forefront of my business. But my data might then tell me that they are the best moving products. So if the data says they are the best moving products, then the smart thing to do is to make them the face of my business, even though they are probably not my kind of clothes. So that's the idea. The idea is to use data to defeat your sentiments so that you can do better with your businesses, with your whatever it is you're applying analytics to, basically. So here they said a retail business should be able to use their vast amount of data and information in such a way that it impacts the business in terms of tracking their inventory, identifying their purchasing habits. So let me give you a good example of identifying purchasing habits. So as you're aware, Domino's Pizza is always paired next to Cold Stone or Vipsberry or something like that. And what question one might ask is, why is a pizza company paired with an ice cream company? I mean, who eats naturally, who eats pizza with ice cream? You know, you always think pizza being a form of pastry, you probably need some form of drink to it, not ice cream. But the data has then taught them that, you know, when people take pizza, for some reason that I cannot explain, they tend to want to take ice cream with it. So if the data is showing this, then that's why Domino Pizza then will just say, okay, let's always partner with some ice cream company and let's set up shop together and gain from each other's. So that's one of the things that data is going to show you. See, I mentioned another one before. I said detecting users' trend and pattern. So it can show you that these are the clothes that are trendy at the moment. These are the stuff that people are buying at the moment. So you should focus on the sales of those ones. You could also recommend purchases for you. You know, you can tell you these are the stores you don't have anymore and recommend that you get those things, etc., etc. There are a couple of this 1001 usage for data analytics as it is. So I'll go to the next page. Okay, good. So they said before data can be used to tell a story, it runs through a process that makes it usable in the story. Data analysis is a process of identifying, cleaning, transforming, and modeling data to discover meaningful and useful information. So what do they mean by this? They said the process of identifying. So the first thing you want to do when you are analyzing data is to identify the appropriate data you want to use. So I'm trying to get statistics for people that are going to buy sanitary pads, and I'm focusing on data generated by men. Obviously, I'm not focusing on the right type of data sets. So the first thing you want to do is to identify the appropriate data that you need to use for what you're trying to achieve for your use cases. Then the next thing you want to do, because the reality of data is that often data is never clean. And in cases where data is clean, it sometimes just doesn't suit what we need it for. So where your data is not clean, let me give you an example of a dirty data. Say, for example, where we are storing the sex of our customers, sometimes you write female, sometimes you write woman, sometimes you just put F there. Now, a human being probably understand all these things. They understand that female, woman, girl, F, they are probably all speaking to the same thing. But the machine never does not understand that. The machine sees that, you know, different things basically. So some of the cleaning you might have to do is to decide that what standard are you going to maintain? Are we going to maintain female as our standard or F as our standard? If you decide on the standard, then you'd have to change all the girl, women, F or whatever to that particular standard you've decided on, you know. So that's some of the idea in data cleaning, you know, cleaning the data till it meets your own personal standard, basically. Then we have something called transforming data. So transforming data can also be called data wrangling by some people. So transforming data is how you create from data what doesn't really exist before. So for example, I can have a data set of people that have transacted with me. So it might include, okay, so let's say I sell two things majorly. I sell shirts and I sell jeans. Now I'm trying to I've done my analytics and it's telling me that I should just leave the jean business behind. I should focus on the shirt business, So I can do a form of conditional statements on my data saying that it should identify people that have bought shirts from me as yes, and people that hasn't bought shirts, it should identify them as no. So in this case, this would be me transforming my data because I didn't really have the yes or no information before, but I'm cooking it out of data that I already have. There are also numerous ways of transforming data. It doesn't have to be something like this conditional statement that I just stated now. It could be something more technical. It could be something less technical. But there are different ways of transforming the data, basically. But the main aim of transforming data is to make sure that the data sits well with what you're trying to achieve. The next one we have is the modeling of data. Now, guys, this is like one very critical aspect of data analytics. When it comes to data modeling, what we're trying to say is this. Oftentimes when you need to do your analytics or your analysis, you are going to be working with data from numerous sources. Yeah, different people providing you with different data. Before you can analyze all and get an overview experience of it, you want to model your data first. What do I mean by modeling your data? You want to establish proper relationship between your data. You want to make sure that they connect with each other in such a way that no data passes the wrong information to you. So you want to link them properly. Hopefully, when we go further into the class, I will get to explain modeling data to you in a more meaningful way. So, at the end of the day, the idea for all this is for you to discover insights from your data. The idea for the analytics is for you to discover insights from your analysis, So they said the data is then crafted into a story through reports for analysis to support the critical decision making. So of course, you want to, when you do your analysis, you want to then do a few charts, some, different type of charts, basically, different type of tables to sell the story, to sell your analysis, to sell the story you found out, to sell your insights. It is from these visuals, it is from these charts that people will then get the insights that they need to move the business forward. So here they tell us that there are core components of analytics. There are about 5 of them. The first one here is called descriptive. They said descriptive is something that actually describes historic data. Let's read what they said here. They said descriptive analysis help to answer questions about what has happened based on historic data. So descriptive analytics is going to tell you that our product has been purchased by 70% of our product has been purchased by men, 30% has been purchased by women. That's describing something that has happened in the past, basically. So often this is like the most common form of analytics. This is the one we do majorly in our offices when we do our reporting. We do descriptive. So the next one is diagnostic analytics. So it says helps to answer questions about why events happened. So now you've said that you've just mentioned that in our company we've sold 80% of what we sold is to women and 20% is to men. But why did that happen? What if what we were selling is women's products? So if we are selling women's products, it will be easy to understand why 80% have been purchased by women and only 20% have been purchased by men. Perhaps we know the 20% men that actually bought, they probably won't be the one using it anyways. They probably be giving it out to their partners or their children or something. So the idea with diagnostics is for you to diagnose why something happened, why an event happened. Often you also identify anomalies. What we call anomalies is something that is out of it, something that should not be there at all, something that shouldn't be part of the data. Often anomalies can be mistakes. You want to identify them. At times they are not the mistakes actually, at times they are real, but you want to identify them. because they might affect your analytics if you do not know of their presence. So for example, you go to Ajegunle and you are trying to take you are asking everybody for their account balances so that you can sample what the average account balance in a poor or a low income environment is. Sadly, that day, Dangote was visiting a friend in Ajegunle. So you came into contact with Dangote and you asked for his account balance also. Then he gave you his also. By the time you do your analytics, what the average account balance you're going to get for Ajegunle would be wrong, because Dangote would have been an anomaly. I don't know if you understand. Dangote would have been an anomaly. Perhaps everybody's declaring 3,000, 5,000, and one person has now declared $1 billion. So by the time you do your average, the average account balance in Ajegunle might then be saying it's 200,000 or 300,000, when in truth, that is not the reality of Ajegunle. So you want to know why things happen. Next one, I'll go to the predictive analytics. So the idea with predictive is for you to be able to forecast what is expected to happen in the future based on what has happened in the past. Forecasting the future, predicting what will happen in the future based on what has happened in the past. So for example, a retail company like ShopRite might predict that every December, because they do Black Friday or something, this is the amount of customers they can expect. Often they will make these assumptions based on what has happened in the past. So that's predictive analysis. When you predicted that, okay, 2 years ago when we just opened shop, 100,000 people came in, or 100 people came in. Last year, when we got more popularity, 200 people came in. That means perhaps this year you should start preparing for 250 to 300 people, depending on how popular you are now. The next one is the prescriptive analytics. So prescriptive helps you to answer questions about which action should be taken to achieve a goal. So for example, you can tell obviously that this prescriptive can follow after the predictive. So for example, the company is already setting up a goal saying that saying we want to increase the number of females in data analytics. For example, the current trend in analytics is that there are 70% men, 30% women. And we are saying that at the Italian, we want to bridge the gap to 50-50, for example. So the prescriptive idea now will be us identifying why enough women are not taking analytics classes. When we identify why they are not taking these classes, which is the diagnostics, then we can predict that how many are likely to take it next. When we say, okay, from what we can see from our numbers, the changes is not going to be more than 60 to 40 in favor of men. Then we can prescribe the things we need to do. Maybe we need to see our women initiative. Maybe they can, give away some free classes to women. Maybe that can even up the numbers. Basically the idea is to prescribe solutions to problems. The next one says cognitive analytics. It attempts to draw inference from existing data and pattern, derive conclusion based on existing knowledge bases, and then add these findings back to the knowledge base for future inferences. So cognitive is basically what did you infer from the data you just saw now? What are the patterns you were able to establish? So when we see the data, you can always tell at times. For example, I just give an example of the Black Friday. So obviously retail companies sell a lot. They sell throughout the year. But patterns has always told us that retail companies will sell more during weekends. They will sell more during weekends. Pattern has told us that retail companies will sell more in December also. So if you're a retail company and you're trying to decide who should be on what shifts, you want to make sure there are more staff on shifts during weekends. You want to make sure that you hire extra interim hands during December or during the festive periods. So these are, these are based on what you infer from your data, basically. So that's basically it. Let's go to the next page. So now when we say role in data, so when you work when you learn the data world or when you join the data world, Data analyst is not the only thing you can be, or a data scientist is not the only thing you can be. There are actually a lot of stuff you can be. And those are actually not limited to the 5 you can see here, but these 5 are like the most popular, by the way. So I'll start with the first one. And I know some of these terms can be very confusing. Often it is even more confusing to HRs and people that are trying to hire hands, because you see at times they don't know the difference between a business analyst, a data analyst, a data engineer, or even a data scientist. I think most people know who a database admin is, but the first 4 can be very confusing for the lot of them. So let's speak about the data analyst first. They said business analysts are very similar to data analysts. But the idea is that think of the business analyst as the one in charge of understanding business processes and trying to analyze and see ways to improve such processes. So they might not be experts, they might not be the experts in visualization like a data analyst, but we expect them to know how to analyze data also. The idea for them is that they can look at the business process and look at ways to improve it. So often they serve as the intermediary between the business, which is the people that uses the data, the people that generates the data, and the analytics guys or the tech guys that do the coding. So, companies have found out that oftentimes, because the analytics guys they are more techie, they don't tend to understand what the business wants enough. Also, because the business, they are not techie at all, they sometimes don't know how to relay the message to the analysts. So the business analyst is like the go-to man between both parties that can understand what the business wants, and I can tell the tech guys what they need to do based on what the business wants. So they are in between tech and business. That's what you have to understand about them. But they are also able to analyze data and get gaps, observe gaps and improvements where need be. That said, a data analyst enables businesses to maximize the values of their data assets through visualization and reporting tools such as Microsoft BI. It says here that they are responsible for profiling, cleaning, transforming data. Often the responsibility, goes beyond just creating reports. It goes about into, getting what the business wants, knowing what the business wants, perhaps getting it from the business analyst and bringing it into life, basically, bringing it into life. Okay, so that said, a data engineer. So if you remember earlier, I told you about that data is often not the way we want it to be. I gave an example of data coming out as the gender women coming out as female in some cases, women, girl. You can ask people to tell you their gender, and some people will say female, some will say women, some will say girl, some will just put F there. In truth, they are all communicating, and I think everyone can understand what they are communicating, but the machine might not understand it that way. So often there is dirty data that requires some form of cleaning or manipulation. So that requires some form of cleaning or manipulation, basically. So this cleaning and manipulation are often done by data engineers. Their job is to engineer data. Basically. Let's go to the next guy. It's called the data scientist. The data scientists perform advanced analytics to extract value from data. Their work can vary from descriptive analytics to predictive analytics. So, often they focus more on predictive and a couple of other things too. So predictive analysis evaluates data through a process known as exploratory data analysis. What exploratory data analysis means is basically exploring the data we have now. What does the data we have now, our historic data, what does it look like? Remember when I mentioned what descriptive analysis is? It's describing what is currently available. So predictive analysis is used in machine learning to apply modeling techniques that can detect anomalies, or patterns. These analytics are important part of forecast models. So, I'm sure we've all heard about machine learning. It's not as complicated as it sounds. The idea is basically you training your machine to understand, you training your machine with historic data to understand how the pattern to things and to predict what is likely to happen. And this is one of the things that data scientists actually do. So let's go next to the next guy, which is the database administrator. So database administrator, as you're aware, we have something called a database. A database is basically something that administrates where you store your data, basically, where you store your data. So we have different form of data, and they have different ways to store it. But for databases, we have a 1,001 type of databases. The simplest database you can think of is your paper, is your books. Every time you write something in your book, you're basically storing something in your database. Another common example of a database we all know is your Microsoft Excel. So a lot of companies store all their information on one Excel or the other. That's a database for you because that's where you store your stuff. You understand? Those are the simplest explanations to what a database is. But on the more advanced level, a database would involve something more technical, something more real time, something more maybe on the cloud or on premises. So we have different examples of those. We have the Oracle database, we have the Microsoft SQL Server, we have the MySQL, we have the IBM, we have Terra PostgreSQL. We have 1,001. So their job is to administer this database, decide who is going to have access to those databases and who is not going to have access to it, decide how long people can use on these databases. When the database is full, they are the one that will do the data migration to another place to save the information on another server or something like that. They basically administrate the whole process of the database. So next, let's go to the part that says the task of a data analyst. So it says here that a data analyst is one of the several roles in the organization. Their task actually focuses on 5 major things: prepare, model, analyze, visualize, and manage. So I'll start from the first one, prepare. The idea behind preparing data can have to do with cleaning and manipulation of data, basically. That's the idea, cleaning and manipulating data. So that's the idea behind preparing data. Every time you have to clean your data, manipulate it, etc., data wrangling, that is you preparing your data for usage. After you're done preparing your data for usage by cleaning and wrangling it, the next thing you want to do is to model it. So I think I mentioned what modeling is the last time. I said modeling involves whenever you have to use multiple data sources than one, you want to model them into one consolidated data model that you can then use to get your work, so that everything you derive from this is going to be in sync. You want your data to be in sync. So a data model is what you literally curate. Then the next one is what we call the visualize. So the visualize part is where you start visualizing, where you start creating charts, where you start creating different charts, pie chart, donut charts, etc. Where you start creating different things to suit what your questions are or to meet your business requirements. Today we'll be doing most of these things, so I'm very excited. The next one here is the analyze. So this is when you are carrying out some form of analytics into what you currently have. Carrying out some form of analytics into. Sorry, guys, please, I need to confirm that you guys can hear me. I got a prompt now. Please, can you guys hear me? And have you guys been hearing me for a while? Someone can unmute and respond, please.
Yes, I can.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so that said, so we can also use it for analysis. And the last bit is saying management. Management has to do with how you manage your report or your analysis after it has been produced. As data analyst, it's important that you know that the data you work on can somehow be something that is for on a need basis. It's not something the whole organization has to know about, often it's not something everybody needs to know about. So you want to manage the process in such a way that only people that needs to see the analytics or the report actually sees it. You don't want it to be, except it is something that everybody requires to know about. If it's something that is on a need to know basis, you want to keep it as that. So you want to manage the process. And that's what all this is about. So we'll be taking a quick check of our knowledge. So I'll be asking some questions just to be actually, and I'll be expecting answers from you guys. So we'll take 5 answers, or let's take 5. So the one that gets the highest is going to be the answer we pick here. So you guys can unmute and contribute, please. So this question says, which data role enable advanced analytics capabilities through reports and visualization? So is it data scientist, data engineer,
data analyst? Data analyst.
So we have one data analyst, we have one data scientist.
Data analyst.
2 data analysts, 1 data scientist.
Scientist.
Data scientist, 2 data analysts.
Data analyst. It's data analyst.
So I think we have like, I think data analyst for now.
Yes.
So let's go with that for now. So next one says, which data analyst task? Somebody who might need to unmute. I can tell you are using your laptop. So please unmute for now. Which data analyst task has a critical performance impact on reporting and data analysis? Is it your model? Which one will have a critical performance impact on your reporting? Is it your model, your analysis, or your visual? Someone said model. What else? Who else? Hello? Guys, please unmute and let us know what your opinions are. Visualize, good. Or who else? So one model, one visualize. Hello, guys, please feel free to unmute. We're like 30 in this class. Hello, please unmute your mic and let me know what you think.
Model.
2 model, one visualize.
Visualize.
2 visualize, 2 model.
Model.
3 models, 2 visualize. Let me get 2 more. 2 more.
Visual.
Okay, in the absence of none, we just take model for now, since that got 3 answers or 3 replies.
Analyze.
So which of the following option is a key benefit of data analysis? So which of these 3? Is it decisive analytics? Is it informed business decisions? Is it complex reports? What's the benefit of data analysis?
Informed business decisions.
Informed business
2. So 2 for informed business decisions.
Informed business decisions.
Okay, so let's go with it. Same, everybody thinks that way. So let's check our answers if we're correct. So yes, congratulations, guys. We got all 3 correct. So it tells us that a data analyst uses appropriate visuals to help business decision makers gain deep and meaningful insights from business or from data. An optimized and tuned data model performs better and provides a better data analysis experience. So guys, for those of you that chose visualize, you're not totally wrong. But for visualize, when you visualize something wrongly, you are going to see the true information about what you visualized wrongly. But when your data model is wrong, you will get wrong results from correct visualizations. I don't know if you understand. So your data model is the answer. Once your model is off, everything you get is going to be wrong going forward. But for your visualize, the only way your visualization can be wrong is if you visualize the wrong thing. And that thing is still not wrong. It's just showing you what you asked for. And obviously the last one, I think that's very clear why it's business decisions, you know. So well done, guys. I'll press continue. A minute. Okay. So the building blocks, let's now start with, now that we've been able to introduce you to data analysis or data analytics, let's now, you know, say a few things about the tool we are learning today, which is the Microsoft Power BI. So Microsoft Power BI, you know, is a collection of software service, apps, and connectors that work together to turn your unrelated sources of data into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. Whether your data is a simple Microsoft Excel workbook, like we'll be working with today, we'll be working with the Microsoft workbook, or a collection of cloud-based or on-prem hybrid data warehouses, Power BI lets you easily connect to your data sources, visualize and discover what's important, and share that with anyone or everyone. So the visuals you can see here basically is saying that you can pull data from any of the sources. You know, it could be from your edge, from your web, basically, this is web, from your cloud, from your SQL Server database, from Access, from Excel, from Salesman. Pull it into Power BI, do your reporting, and push it out for the whole world to see. So, yeah, it's saying that Power BI can be simple and fast, capable of creating quick insights. Please, someone needs to mute their mic. Capable of creating quick insights from an Excel workbook or a local database. But Power BI is also robust and enterprise grade, ready not only for extensive modeling and real-time analytics, but also for custom developments. So if you look at this thing, this is like a quick example of a kind of visual you can create with Power BI, basically. And I look forward to you guys getting to the level where you can create this kind of visuals, you know. You know. Yeah. Okay, so there are three major parts to Power BI. There's the Power BI desktop, there's the Power BI service, and there's the Power BI mobile. So the Power BI desktop is basically what you have all installed on your system at the moment. Is where you think of it as your kitchen or as your
Hello,
laboratory.
Mubarak.
Yes, please.
Hello, Mubarak. Please, can you hear me?
I can hear you, please.
All right. So someone has a message for you in the chat box. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's fine. I'm not sure I could get the message. Okay, someone said that. Okay. Okay. So, just hey guys, please, can you give me a second? I need to confirm something, please. Okay, guys. Kemi, please, I would still need to presenting right for a few minutes. I don't know who's presenting at the moment. Hello.
Hello, Mubarak.
Yes. So please, I need to present. I don't know who's presenting at the moment. I need to present for a few
Okay.
minutes, please. Just a
Someone
few
is
minutes.
sharing screen.
It's Francis. Okay, just a few more
Okay.
minutes.
All right.
Okay. Well, sorry about this. Trying to. Okay, good. So I was just explaining now that there are three major parts to Power BI. There's a desktop, there's a service, and there's the mobile. The desktop is where you do your cooking, where you basically think of it as a kitchen or as a laboratory where you do all your dirty works. Whereas the service is another place where you can do some of your cooking also. But usually this is where you push it out to for the whole world to see it. So when you're done creating a report and you want to show it to your boss, both the ones in Nigeria, the ones outside the country, your Power BI service is where you push it to so that they would have access to it. Also, there's a Power BI mobile, which is more of a mobile app that where you can also, view this data as it is. So people that are always on the go, they can have a Power BI mobile installed on their phone also, and they can, look at these dashboards and make sense out of it. So that's the idea for that. So yeah, they're talking about the usage of Power BI and the activities involved. And it's saying the first thing is to the sequence to the usage of Power BI. So the first thing is you bring data into your Power BI desktop and you create reports. Then when you're done creating this report, you publish it to your Power BI service. When you're done publishing to your Power BI service and people now have access to it, they can then view and interact with the dashboards you have shared as the same fits. Next part says the building blocks to Power BI. So the building blocks to Power BI, there are majorly 5 things. That's the visualization, the data sets, the reports, the dashboard, and the tiles. So visualization is basically what you're already aware of, but you will get to know more when Francis come on board now to show us. Visualization is basically the part that will show you visuals, charts, things that we can get insights from, basically. The next one here that says one of the building blocks is the data sets. Of course, we know everything we do, everything will be created based on the data sets. The data set will determine the flow of everything. So that's another major building block to your Power BI. Then there's what we call reports. Whatever you create, whatever you visualize as a whole is called a report in Power BI. Every time you create a new report, it's called a report in Power BI. But there's another thing called dashboard. And often people mistake dashboards and reports in Power BI, but they are not the same thing. A dashboard in Power BI is an aggregation or a collection of different visuals from different reports. So a dashboard is something you would prepare for your CEO. If your CEO doesn't, you probably want, he has a lot of reports that he gets, but he probably wants one summary, like an executive summary, where you can see different important visuals from different reports. So think of your dashboard as an executive summary of many reports, basically. And your tiles are just a representation of each data visualizations, each data visuals that you have. So that's the explanation of what it is. But it's important to know that all these things work together to form one powerful Power BI that serves you in all ways. They work together. There's really nothing to see on this store. I think all this part is not very useful. Summary. Yep. So let's just do a quick knowledge check and we can move on to the view visualization, which Francis is going to be taking us through. So a quick knowledge check, please. Feel free to unmute your mic as always, once again, please. So the first one is, what's the common flow to activities in Power BI? So I'm sure you guys can see my screen. So please, I will need just 3 people to answer. 3. Let's be very fast with this. So I need just 3 people to answer, and we'll go with the highest. So is it A, is it B, is it C, is it D? Hello,
C.
guys.
C.
Bring data into
C.
Power BI desktop, create a report, share it
Yes.
to Power Service,
Yes,
view.
Master.
C, bring data into Power BI desktop, create
Okay.
a report, share it to.
So number 2, please. Please, let's feel free to unmute our mic when we are not. Okay, good. Thank you. So number 2, please. Any idea?
B.
That's 1B.
Visualization, data frame, report, dashboard.
Who else? Does anybody else have any opinion? Anybody else?
Visualization, data set, report, dashboard, and tie.
Okay, fantastic. We'll go with that. Number 3, the collection of ready-made visuals prearranging. Oh, I didn't. Okay, let's see if anybody can guess this. Number 3, any idea?
A.
Okay.
A.
Does anybody have any other idea?
No, it's A.
Okay, so this number 3, I'll forgive you because I didn't explain it. So let's check the answer. So it says we were wrong for number 3. A canvas is a particular pack on Power BI desktop, which Francis will show you guys, where the visuals is being done. But when they tell you that something is a collection of ready-made apps, ready-made, already present, that already informs you that that's something that sounds like an application. When you open any of your apps, things are already there, ready-made for you. A canvas is something that nothing is already made. You have to create everything yourself. That's the difference between a canvas and an app. For a canvas, nothing is there. You have to do the work yourself. For an app, things are already created there for you. You probably just have to tune and manipulate. I hope you are good. But of course, these are things that Francis will go into details when you start doing the analytics and you start doing the visuals for you guys. So it's nice spending time with you guys. I'll stop sharing my screen right now so that Francis can take over. And I truly hope you guys can learn as much as possible. I must admit that Francis is a fantastic person to learn from. And I think you guys would really enjoy your morning today. Thank you for having me. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Mubarak. And everyone, so right now, some people have been waiting for the practicals. We're about to get into that. So a facilitator for the practicals is Mr. Francis Okoye.